I was not expecting to come out and feel that way at all. Reviews are already rolling in for new comedy monster, creature feature horror, Death of a Unicorn, and I cannot wait to go and see the local premiere. Right now, I'm going to take you guys with me and let you know whether it is worth your time to go out and spend your money on this film this weekend. This film has a phenomenal cast, including Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Will Poulter, and this is the first feature coming from Alex Scherfman, who has worked on other productions, but not in the same way. But he has been a producer on House of Spoils, Resurrection, and even Lyle. Lyle is estranged but loved indie horror, a pregnancy horror, and it's a very interesting film to have on his resume. But I also love Resurrection, which is a very dark film. I assume tonight this film will be quite light-hearted, but I do know we're in for some bloody action. There's gonna be some kills. The movie, also pegged as a dark comedy, is about a father and daughter who hit a unicorn with their car and then have to bring it to a wilderness retreat that belongs to a mega wealthy pharmaceutical CEO. I'm excited to see what the creature is gonna look like in this film. I feel like I don't have to hide that, it's in the title, so that's really exciting. A creature feature that is a comedy horror is also really fun, produced by A24. I think it's gonna be really funky, but as we know, A24 really lets the director do exactly what they want to do with the production, which seems obvious, but we don't know this director's style, so I'm very interested to see how it turns out and who it is really meant for. By the end of this video, you'll know whether it's meant for you and whether it's worth your time, your personal taste, all that good stuff. I can't wait to see this creature. So fun to see a creature feature in the cinema, especially as a standalone film. I feel very spoiled. Let's go check it out right now. I'm gonna take you to the local premiere. Hello, I just got out of watching Death of a Unicorn. That film was extremely predictable. I felt like at no point of that film did I feel that I had no idea where we were going in the next scene. But horror fans, the kills were chef's kiss. So I had a lot of fun in that department. But although it was kind of exactly what I expected, I never thought that I would see a comedy horror with Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Will Poulter about unicorns, but went the exact way I thought it would the entire time. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I wish that it went full crazy, wacky, wild. It's a unicorn, for God's sake. I do want to say before I get started, a lovely person came up to me after we finished the movie. He was with, I believe, his partner, and they said hello, and hello, thank you so much for coming up to me. That was really sweet and very cool. I don't get to meet a lot of you guys out in the wild, so I'm glad that you enjoyed the film. And I talked to a couple of people walking out, and it seems like a lot of people found it to be fun. I do think that this film will scratch an itch for a lot of people. So the movie is about Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, who are father and daughter, and they are on the opposite side of the spectrum, or they're just polar opposites, with his job and her being an angsty teen and rebellion, but also her feelings towards the situation, which is about to unravel. And don't worry, I would say normally don't worry, it's not predictable because everything that you know about the title and you know about the setup happens within the first 10 minutes, but from there, it really does carry on, following through with that formula exactly the way you think it would. Because not only do they go to this wealthy family's estate, who happen to be mega wealthy pharmaceutical CEOs, but they are so hyperbolic and so one-dimensional. And I will say, almost every character in this film is, including Jenna Ortega's character, although she gets painted with this certain brush and her feelings towards what is happening in the situation. I do feel like it is very one-dimensional, the entire story. And if you're worried about it being too forced down your throat messaging-wise, I honestly don't think it is, because it's so blatant and it's so on the table. They aren't trying to hit you. I mean, I would say they do try and hit you with some big feels to do with the family's backstory, but I really don't think they're trying to hide like Big Pharma bad. That is not the point of this film at all. Like I said, it is very on the table. It's very blatant. But Will Poulter's character carried this film for me, because not only was he one-dimensional, he played into it the most, but that is also because of the writing of his character. He was able to have the most fun with it. Obviously, his delivery is amazing. I love him as an actor, but he carried this film for me character-wise. He got really zany with it, and that's what I needed. If you're going to do a very straightforward story in terms of bad pharmaceutical and, you know, this situation, moral dilemma, I don't even know if you'd call it that, with this unicorn, then I wanted it to be over the top and zany. If I'm going to see a unicorn in a horror comedy in 2025, I want it to be wowza, especially the comedy element. And I felt like his character, I wanted everyone to be on Will Poulter, his character's level, and they weren't quite there. So it does feel, especially because I found it to be particularly predictable, like it goes through the motions and you're kind of just waiting for it to get from A to B to C to D all the way through. Those zany moments, if a film is predictable or you know too much about it from the title or trailers, I really like those offbeat moments, those one-liners, those really strange, zany, fun elements. I feel like that's what makes the character of the film, and I felt like that was lacking a little bit. I did laugh throughout this film, but it was mainly at his character, and just there was some good dialogue, but I just didn't feel like it carried all the way through. It didn't keep up the energy for me. What did keep up the energy was the gore. The kills were fantastic. They were the only things I didn't find predictable. I kind of knew when some things would happen. There was a jump scare that got me, but there were really fun elements in terms of that. And that's what I mean. Like, if you're going to go out crazy and have these kinds of scenes in a film about unicorns, then I really would love to see everything else measure up to that in terms of the comedy and the direction of everyone else. And I just felt like the energy was lacking in parts. If you're going to make this film, like, just go nuts with it. I will say it is, and I mean, that's just from my naked eye. I don't really know too much of the background, but majority of it is CGI. Dealing with a fantastical character, I mean, obviously we've seen a lot and I've spoken a lot about werewolves and practically done animals in that regard, but they do rely mostly, I can't really say all, but from my perspective, a lot of it was computer generated imagery. And I think as long as you know that, that's fine. And they were able to make things really cool. And as long as you make things very cool, creative kills, all that good stuff, I don't have a problem with it because it's upfront and it's kind of expected. It was the goofiness that I was expecting, and those were the best moments for me. I do feel like the film is satisfying, especially if you do like the actors. It is worth seeing on the big screen for those intense scenes, for those action-packed scenes. And I will say some of it was quite dark, shot at night, so it was good seeing it on the big screen for that effect. When I heard that this film was being made, I was expecting it to be bonkers, and I don't think it quite delivered that. Actually, the viewer that I was talking to on the way out, he was saying he was expecting like Cocaine Bear, and I feel like Cocaine Bear was more exciting and more thrilling and less predictable. So in a way, that's a good point that he made, because that's maybe what I was expecting, which is on me, but at least I can pass that on to you guys and hopefully change your expectations, or, you know, see what suits what you like. All in all, I had fun watching it, but I can't believe I'm going to say a unicorn horror movie with a great cast. I wish it did a little bit more. I wish it went all the way. A24 always surprises me. It's always silly, goofy, funny, zany, out of the box, and I felt like this one was particularly in the box for such an outrageous plot. Putting your money on the line with a new director making a film that is so unique, I was hoping it would be a little bit more unique, or the viewing experience would be, but I can't say I got a lot out of it. As always, I will encourage you to see it on the big screen and make up your own mind. I can't say enough how much I enjoyed the kill scenes. I very much enjoyed them. They were very fun. I would just love this film if it was a little bit more tighter, a little bit more chaotic and erratic, and in doing so maybe I wouldn't have been able to pick up on everything that was going to happen. It's not like I picked up on something that no one else did. I just felt like everything was very blatant and very obvious. And there's nothing wrong with having a popcorn horror at all, but if it's going to be about a fantasy creature, just go crazy with it. Have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to give this film a 6 out of 10. I know, I'm actually quite surprised. I think that I liked it a lot less than the people I talk to on the way out. I don't know if I was just expecting more, and hopefully this will help your expectations. That's why I do these videos. For scare and gore, I'm gonna give it a 7. It's hard for a film like this to tonally be scary, but that is all gore, so I'll give you that. And I mean, they did get me with a jump scare, but at no point was I fearing for my life. Originality is hard for this one because I do feel like it is a very original concept, but I do think that they did it the most straightforward way they possibly could. So I'm going to give it a 7 for that. I was not expecting to come out and feel that way at all, but it's still a fun watch. It just lower your expectations. Okay, I have spoken enough for today. If you haven't checked it out, I just did a video ranking every single saw trap and explaining them all. If you'd like to watch it, it is a long video, but I would very much appreciate it if you checked it out. And I also went and saw Locked recently, if you want to check out that Come With Me review, which is very different to this film. Thank you so much for being here. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.